Welcome back to the Enlightened Misfits podcast. I am your host, Lauren, and in today's episode, I have Georgianne. She is a business coach for spiritual entrepreneurs. Welcome. So tell me a little bit about. I know before we started recording, you said something about you were a financial advisor. Can you
Yes.
tell us? And now you're a business coach. Now, I know you can talk about all money all day, like you said. Tell us a little bit about kind of where you came from, what had happened, and was there like a moment that you had, I can't do this, 9 to 5, corporate world anymore.
Yes, absolutely. I'd love to. Um, I'm happy to be here, Lauren, too. So thank you for having me on.
Oh, you're
Um, yes, I have been in the money world my whole adult life in banking and investments and a financial advisor and a mortgage broker and everything. But it really started, I was in the banking world and I was driving home from work. It was a beautiful day. I was listening to my music. Everything was fine. And then I get home and I brought my work home with me because I was still having work that needed to be done. So I had my laptop open, all the files around my floor because I would sit on the floor and do that at home. And I remember thinking that, oh, I can't do this anymore. I'm stressed. I was a single mom at that point. Well, still am, but I was a single mom and had my two sons, and I was stressed. I was overworked, underpaid, as a lot of people are in the corporate world. And I just couldn't do the 9 to 5 anymore. I didn't know at that point what else I could do. And then a few weeks later, I received a random email that invited me to a seminar. And it was about a financial advising. So I went, and as the guy was up there, we were talking about public speaking. And as
Yeah.
the gentleman was up there talking about the company, the program, how it all works, how, I would be in control of my destiny, of my finances, of my income, my soul just said, "Oh, this is me. This is what I need to do." And so I did. I signed up that night, and over the next couple of years, I took all of the courses for to be a financial advisor, different licenses. I was life insurance licensed, all of those pieces. And over the few years, I worked both, right? My day job and then my financial advising in the evenings and weekends, and was finally able to leave my day job and become a financial advisor full time. And I did that for many years, 12, 13 years. And now I've switched into the business coaching. Um, as I had talked with you before we started recording, is when I was a financial advisor, my clients were women primarily. And
Mhm.
I did women financial seminars titled um, Wine, Women, and Wealth, right? We always had wine. I'm not a wine drinker, but I always had wine for the ladies. But it was
Oh, that's interesting.
I loved it. I just
Yeah.
loved doing that. Because so many women rely on their husbands or their fathers or their CPA or whatever to take care of their finances. And so I saw that as a opportunity to really help women understand who they are financially, that money is not bad or evil. It's just a tool, right? It's just like energy. It is energy, right?
Right.
So that's kind of led me now to my business as being a business coach for spiritual entrepreneurs, because I see so many entrepreneurs that start their business, their yoga business or tarot reading or health business, anything, right, that is soul led.
Mhm.
And they are told that just do what you love and the money will come. And that's true. I believe that's true. But if they don't charge what they're worth, or they don't know what to do with the money, or they're afraid to ask for money, then it's just they get discouraged and disappointed, and their energy, their light dims out, and it's just not the best thing. So that's kind of my, in a nutshell, journey from way back then to where I am now.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I feel like
Yeah.
there's a lot of like really good golden nuggets that you had said. The one thing that stood out to me, especially because our audience listening, and I know from me when I first started, was that money story that I used to tell
Mm-hmm.
myself,
Mm-hmm.
or I should say that I guess it was like just something that was conditioned from all of us. I
Right.
feel like when it's like money is the root of all evil, or
Right.
that's one of the things that you said. And I feel like, so what would you say to somebody that like would start? And I love that you said terror business, because I felt like that was like one of the businesses that I had, which
Uh-huh.
was very successful. And I
Love
had a
it.
YouTube channel over like 100,000. I think it was like I got up to 200,000 like subscribers. And I don't really talk about that much, but I did that like on the side, like before I knew, I didn't want anybody to know that I was like a tarot reader,
Yeah.
but I really do love reading tarot. So I did get back into it to do it for like just kind of like for free, because like just who wanted it, like the people
Right.
that are connected with me now. And it's funny, a lot of the people that are in, it's just a Voxer group that I have, and they're like, wow, your messages are so on point. And I'm like, well, I'm just reading the energy. It's not, you think that I'm like, it's funny how people are, I'm just like, I could do this without cards, like, like,
Right.
but people like that card, because I always tell people, if you want to do a tarot business, do it, because there
Yeah.
is a lot, you could make a lot of money from it. And people are like, oh, well, I don't want to do tarot. I just had a conversation with a girl that she's like, I don't want to charge for my readings. I was like, why? Why wouldn't you do that? And she's like, well, then isn't it kind of like bartering? I'm like, well, I mean, unless you're going to call your mortgage company and say, I need to barter you to do a tarot card reading, like that type of thing. Like, I
Right.
understand that it is bartering, and a lot of people that I like, spiritual entrepreneurs or people that I work with, I will barter, like, if it's like a human design reading or they want a healing session,
Right.
with something that they do, sure, I don't care. Like that is totally okay with me. But I'm like, when you're starting a business, you have to be able, first you have to do a lot of healing and deconditioning, right? And then it's
Right.
like, okay, this is my price. That's just like me doing if somebody works with me one-on-one. I didn't start out telling people it's $3,000 to work with me one-on-one for 12 weeks. That would not feel safe to me at all for me to do
Right.
that. But now I can say that, and it's either a yes or no for you. Like, obviously, there's a lot of value that I put behind that before I say that, but when people say, I did this for free for a while too. Like I
Yeah.
did, coaching for free. So it's like I started out there, 4 years ago, I wasn't telling people it was $3,000, right? And it's like, getting to that point, because you just get that confidence and you know what you can provide. So I do love that. And I'm sure that
Yeah.
you do the same thing. So the one thing I wanted you to kind of explain to the listeners is, if somebody's having, like right now, if somebody's having an issue of, I don't know if I'm good enough, or I don't
Mm.
know if I can provide this service, right, to match my what I'm like charging, what would you kind of say to them? Like, where is like the first step that I know this is like, could be a very long answer, but
Yeah.
what would be the first step that you would say to them about like where they should start, if that's the
Right.
thoughts that they're having?
Right. Yeah, great question. And I'm in complete agreement with all that you said, right? That people are concerned or hesitate, right? So typically, when I talk with people and they feel like they're not able to charge, or they don't feel worthy of it, is we start with the mindset, because that's what it is. And one of the pieces, so I go through a certain process. I have what I call inner voice activations. I am
Okay.
also Reiki master, so I put the energy and the Reiki inside of the imbue, the meditations and stuff. I call them inner
Mhm.
voice activations.
Oh,
So
okay.
that's what I would start with, is being able to identify what their limiting beliefs are. We all have them.
Right.
And learn how to reframe them, and then put that reframing into usually I recommend an audio, right? And then they listen to it. I have some that are on my website, but it has, my Reiki love in it, right?
Yeah.
So and it's more of the generic, right, for the belief or abundance. But I want people to create their own, right, based on their own limiting belief, so that we can then shift the limiting belief. You had mentioned about the quote is actually, "The love of money is the root of all evil." But
Yeah.
I grew up with the money grows on trees, and it does, right? In my world, it always
Right.
did. And I worked
Right.
for the bank, right, when I was
Right.
18. So I
Yeah.
always had money, right? There was always
Yeah.
tens of thousands of hundreds of thousands of money around in the bank.
Yeah.
So that was what my belief, as I was growing up, is money does grow on trees. Of course, it got me into trouble a little bit debt-wise, because I kept thinking that, money grew on trees.
Yeah.
So I've adjusted that. It still does grow on trees.
Right.
I talk to the universe, and when I need money, it magically appears, right? So
Right.
it does.
Yeah.
But it is really about shifting that, the self-belief in who you are at a subconscious level, and like what we had talked about before too, about being able to go deeper into the subconscious and possibly past lives. No, I personally don't do any past lives, but there's plenty of people
Yeah.
out that I could refer people to if they needed to do that. I myself went through a lot of past life healing to get to where I am today.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. I often feel like a lot of people look at my success now. It's been, I guess, like maybe like I think it's been 5 years now, because I could pretty much started my business. My birthday was yesterday, so I'm 35. So yeah, so about around 30. So it's been about 5 years that I've been really like, I have my business. It's successful, and I have to say, like publicly, like on my podcast, that I didn't start really making six figures or even six-figure months. Like my 5 figure months, like my 5K months
Yeah.
were harder than my 10K months. And I'm not saying I make 10K every single month, but when I did that last year, it was probably like 2023, like really when that happened. I mean, that's like
Yeah.
a couple years of me and I always believe that putting stuff back, like I always invest back into my business, because if not,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to be buying all this crap that I don't need. And like you said, I don't necessarily feel like I had a scarcity mindset. I've never
Right.
really had that, because I've always made six figure, like I've had, like that's my old job, my very successful 9 to 5. I made six figures. So it's like,
Yeah.
it's not something. I still didn't have a good mindset then, because I would spend it. Like I didn't save it. Sure, I had a retirement, and I had a savings account, but I would be spending it on people, things, and places that didn't really matter to me. And I
Yeah.
feel like that is where I'm like, gosh, if I only just saved all of that money, and then like, in my healing, I had to learn what, like, to heal from codependent relationships. So it's
Oh,
like they
yes.
were always codependent on me. And I look back at my family lineage, and I know my mom, I love her, but I know that she'll be listening to this. And every single like male figure in like that I'm around, in my family,
Yeah.
except for maybe my grandma, um, the women, and maybe my aunt will listen to this too, so don't take this personal,
Yeah.
Joanne, but they control the relationship. And it's
Yeah.
not even like money, I should say. Very dominant. I should just say that it's not a bad thing. It's just they're very dominant, and they're very masculine. Well, I don't want to do that in my relationship. So it's like
Yeah.
I want to be more feminine. So it's like fine, just learning that balance in the relationship. And, I can provide for myself and I can provide for my partner and my daughter, but it's like, do I really want to do that? No, like, I don't want to be the masculine. Like, that's not what I
Right.
want to be in my connection. So it's like, I feel like a lot of people, like single moms, especially, because I mean, I'm a single mom, like, yes, I have a partner, but he's not financially responsible for me or my daughter. So it's like,
Right.
he's there to help and provide when he can. But it's also allowing that to come too, because I wasn't open to receiving that because I never had
Yep.
that. It was
Yep.
and I always envied the women that could stay home. They didn't have to go to work. I'm like, gosh, like, I only wish I could be that person. Well, now I can be that person. Like, I don't have to go to a 9 to 5. I
Right.
have my daughter home, and it's like, it's not always easy either. Like, it's like I
Yeah.
provide for myself too, but it's like, Spirit definitely wanted me to learn. Well, you asked for that, so here you have it, and you're not happy. So it's like,
Yeah.
just like millionaires, like they have like the mental health aspect, like you said, getting back to like the mindset, the mental health aspect. It doesn't necessarily mean, I'm assuming you're meaning like scarcity. Is it the difference
Yes.
between scarcity mindset and abundance? Okay. So
Yeah,
how
exactly. Yeah.
could um what are the differences between that scarcity mindset and abundance mindset when it comes to like maybe managing your finances?
Yeah, great question. So with the scarcity mindset, it's typically just and I have been in abundance mindset my whole life. So it's hard for me to vision what a scarcity mindset thinks about, right? But it
Right.
is just that they feel like the glass is half empty. It's
Okay.
never enough. They're never going to have enough. And one of my dear friends, she makes over $1 million a year, and her husband at the time um, would would I don't really, complain isn't the right word, but would comment when they had to buy. In this case, it was a washer and dryer, and he didn't think they had enough money to do it. He was retired, so it was all her, money coming in. He did have his retirement income,
Yeah.
but just the thought of earning over $1 million a year, that we don't have enough money to buy a washer and dryer, it just doesn't connect. But that's what a scarcity mindset is.
Okay.
They feel like there's just never enough, and they have to hold on to what they do have,
Yeah.
because it's not going to be enough. And then, as you had said earlier about being open to receive, they're not open to receive money coming in, right? So they're like closed up. Where the abundance mindset is more open and receiving and knowing that there is plenty, right? In my world, there's no competition. Everyone has their own energy and their own way of talking and doing things
Yeah.
that will attract the people that are meant to be theirs. And so when we talked earlier about the mindset, it is about scarcity and abundance mindset, but it's also the stories that they tell themselves, right? Like you had talked about with your family and your
Yeah.
lineage. And if I grew up um, thinking that I'm not worthy, that I can't do it on my own, that was one of mine, that I had to have a man to help me. I
Yeah.
don't have any at the moment because I moved through that,
Yeah.
right? Because
Mhm.
so the mindset shifting that I help with is more than just scarcity and abundance mindset. It's really about their um, beliefs of themselves. Can they do their own business? Do they have to have a man or someone else to do their finances? Right? What do they believe themselves that we can work on? It just happens to be in the either business world or the financial world, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, I think too, when you say that, like financial security, it's always
Yeah.
like you look at these Disney movies and you look at these like whatever movies, it's always like the man providing for the woman.
Mhm.
And now, especially with Pluto moving into an Aquarius, or it's in
Mhm.
Aquarius, that isn't a thing anymore. It's like
Right.
no more. Now, granted, yes, the internet is very masculine. We need structure, we need the masculine energy. But
Absolutely.
I love that things are being more balanced now. It's not so masculine driven. It's not going to be in the next couple of years. Things are going to kind of like change to so that because we need the masculine. It's not that we don't need them.
Right.
It just means that they need to be more feminine. They need to be more like calm down. Not everything has to be like go that hustle culture that like that you see out there. I don't
Right.
see it as much. I mean, I still see it, but I don't see it as much when it's coming to finances. And,
Yeah.
women are starting to, have online businesses,
Uh-huh.
still provide, still be the, feminine and, have the masculine outside working. But it's like, it's more, I love it. The only word that can
Yeah.
come is like harmony and like balance. So
Right.
I love
Right.
that. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it's really about the who people want to be, right? We had talked earlier about women wanting to stay home. That has never been me. My sister, she could have her babies and she
Yeah.
would stay home if she could. But I have always been very ambitious and driven and just wanting to do more and experience life. I'm a big traveler, so I love to be able to get out there and experience. So, but and I'm Aquarius like you.
Yeah.
Um,
Yay.
so I think it's amazing
Yeah.
that now that we've got Pluto into Aquarius, and I'm not very big on the planetary alignments and all of that, but I do know that one because it's a big one,
Yeah.
right? And because it impacts me as well, being an Aquarius,
Yeah.
is that we are in a world of change and wanting to balance, and it's not going to be an even, it's not always 50-50, it
No.
can't be, but just having the opportunity for those people who want to do what they love and or
Yeah.
try new things, and now is a perfect opportunity for men and women to have a different life, a better life, right,
Yeah.
with partners, um
Yeah.
in that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, expect like when you said it can't be balanced, it really can't be. Like when people talk about this like work-life balance, I'm like, are you like, do you live in reality? Like it's
Yeah.
not a thing. Especially going back to like I never really wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. I never actually really wanted to be a mom. And I think it was because I was always good with kids. Kids always like loved me, but I
Yeah.
never was in the headspace of like, I I knew that I had a lot of learning to do in relationships. And I just knew that if I was in the prior relationship I was in, I felt very trapped. And even to
Mm.
this day, like he even said, yeah, I knew what I was doing. So like he was definitely to a T a covert narcissist. And I didn't
Wow.
see that until he was diagnosed that, so it was like things happened, like for me, not to me. And I felt like at the
Absolutely.
time it was more of like I needed to understand my own victim mentality, my own ego, my own this or that. And I feel like, granted, obviously I picked this life. I picked
Hmm.
to be a mom, and I knew that I was like I always had this vision of having 5 kids now. I don't think that
That's
that's going
awesome.
to happen, but it's funny how I always kind of envisioned myself to be a mom, like when I was a kid. And I now know why I didn't want to be a mom or felt like I wasn't good enough to be a mom is because would I be able to provide them with a
Right.
safe space or something that I didn't have when I was a kid or whatever it was. And now that I've did all of the healing and I continue to do the healing, I know that, and always like those moms, I always I always tell the like moms or like friends that they're like, I just feel like a real shitty mom. And I'm like, well, you even saying that is just you are a very good mom because and I'm not saying that if people don't say that they're not a good mom. That's not what I'm taking. Like, I don't
Right.
want people to take that. from this. But most times, if the moms aren't worrying about their kids, or they're not worrying about, am I doing good enough? Am I going to be a good enough mom? Then you don't consciously you're not even aware, or maybe don't have the awareness to even change. Because if you think you're a great mom and you don't ever question what you're doing, well, you might want to. Maybe I'm just
Right.
suggesting you might want to, because you probably could do a little bit better.
Exactly. That's
Right?
what I was going to say. It's not about being bad, right? Or
Yeah,
recognizing that, but is there opportunity for improvement? Can
right.
you do, right? We all want to review, right?
Yes,
And be able to say, can I do better? Should I do this? Right? All that. Yeah, I'm with you on
yes.
that.
Yeah. So going back to when you said you always had an abundance mindset.
Yeah.
Now, I think I did too, especially because I didn't hold on to stuff. And I really want people to, like, listeners to understand, because, mindset is pretty much everything. And I think a lot of
Hmm.
people right now are going through a lot of financial changes. I think, that mindset and focusing on, I can't really align, like, I can't really understand when people, like, have these huge businesses and they have all of this income and they have all of this stuff, that they keep focusing on what they don't have.
Right.
Actually, I just talked to a client about this. Hopefully she knows who I'm talking to when she listens to this. But um what I kind of helped her understand is, you have this, and this. You need to have millions of dollars, right?
Hmm.
Because then
Hmm.
how, if you don't have $1 million or $2 million or $3 million, how are you paying for your one business? How are you paying for your other business? Like, how are you traveling? How are you doing this? How are you doing that? Like, so you need to be open to receiving, maybe that business, you don't have that business anymore. Maybe you don't have this anymore. You need to be open to receiving something better and new. And I
Right.
feel like once you close yourself off to that,
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
society norm tells you, oh, you could just go get a job, or you
Yeah.
should just stay here, or you should just, you know, I feel like once you open yourself up to doing things that you love, that was pretty much the reason why I left my 9 to 5, because I was like, I love doing what I'm doing, and I love helping people, and I know I have a bigger purpose here, but, like, I hate doing this. Like, I
Yeah.
absolutely hated it. And I used
Yeah.
to love doing it. But then when it started to affect, like, how I was treating patients, or how I was, how I was working at work. I was always in, like, my manager's office. Like, why are you late to work? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I don't know how to come here on time. Like, I'm always late. It's like 5 minutes window. It's like, we had 7 minutes for, like, years. And all of a sudden it's like, you can't come 7 minutes late. And it's like,
Oh,
what?
wow.
So it was like, okay, well, I guess I'm never going to be on time. Even if I plan 2 hours earlier, I'm never going to make it on time.
Yeah.
Like, it's
Yeah.
just, and I feel like that's, now going back to it, it was more of my ADHD. I feel like, and apparently they have like accommodations for that. People that literally can't get there on time. That's me. I literally, besides things that I know that I need to, and it's like so much easier, because it's like, if I need to get on a Zoom call, or I need to be on a
Yeah.
client call,
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
late. I could just, walk into my room and get on. So
Yeah.
it's much different. And plus, I would never be late, actually. I'm always usually early, because it's something that I really love. So I noticed
Yeah.
those things. And especially, I feel like a lot of people, actually, one of my old coworkers had committed suicide because of her mental health.
Oh,
And I think that is a huge part of why I left where I was, because I was in that same mental space when I was working there, and I had just had a baby. And it was just like, I really hope they have changed things, because it was like, I know for a fact that her job was 100% a huge factor. I'm not saying that whole thing, but I
right.
hope that, there's a lot of other things that happen to other, like, all of my other coworkers too, that I hope that businesses, not just that business, but businesses are realizing, like, crap, we need to really take care of our people, or we're
Right.
not going to have them. Because
Right.
I think mental health is, because I don't care how much you pay me. I do this now. I don't care how much money you have. If you're not aligned with me, or I'm not aligned with you, like, we're not
That's
working.
right.
You can be
Yep.
friends, but I'm not working with you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? So,
Yeah. Well, and that's all about the energy,
yeah.
right? The
Yeah.
mindset, the mental health, which
Yeah.
is becoming so much more prevalent now, right? That we're hearing about it more
Yeah.
in the news and all of that, that it is incredible how it does impact people's lives, things that you don't think doesn't affect me, but it affects you differently, right? Different parts of work or life in general.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yes.
I'm in complete agreement. And it is a lot, the subconscious, the conscious mind, the mindset, how we take care of our own energy. I'm in complete agreement with you as far as alignment, right? If I feel, and we know, right, when we're out networking or whatever, we
Yeah.
can see the person that maybe we want to talk to, and then as we get closer, nah, right? And then
Yeah.
it's just a different vibe, right? When
Yes.
we're talking to people. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's I love that you say that, because a couple of my being like out and like networking within people, I I kind of people are like, "Oh, you're such like an extrovert." I'm like, "No, I'm not. I'm an
Yeah.
Aquarius,
No,
but
I'm
I'm
not.
not. No, I'm not." But I have this aura that like, is very like
Mhm.
very like, "Oh, come talk to me." And I'm like, "No, I don't I don't want you really talking to me." But I realize that it's more of my like protection bubble that I have built around me, that I'm just like, if my energy is not mixing with your energy, I could be having a bad day, or I could just not be in the right mindset. And I feel like
Right.
people can feel that, which is great, because I don't want to penetrate your energy and I don't want you to penetrate mine, because if I'm already miserable or I'm already having a bad day, please just leave me alone. Right.
Yeah.
It's like I
Yeah.
love people, but I don't like anybody. And it's funny, being an Aquarius and having a lot of Aquarius placements, that's what people always say to me. And I was like, that's interesting, because my moon and my rising are Pisces. So it's like people look at me and they're like, oh, I didn't even think you were of Aquarius. And I'm like, you can't tell. But then again, my ego is an Aquarius. So yeah, that
Yes. Yeah.
definitely.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's funny. So my moon is Pisces.
Oh, yeah.
And oh no, my rising is Pisces and my moon is Aries.
Oh, okay.
But yeah,
Okay. So
yeah.
you
And
have,
I'm
oh,
on
so
the cusp of Capricorn. So
oh, okay. Because I was going to say you seem to me more of like a Pisces to me,
yeah.
but that's interesting. So you have three different elements in your big
Mhm,
three.
mhm.
That's crazy.
I'm like, woohoo, right?
Yeah.
All kinds of fun
Like,
stuff.
let's
But
go, let's do
yeah,
it. And then it's like,
yep,
no, we're not really doing that. And then it's like your Pisces, like, come on.
yep, yep, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I love
That
that.
is so
I love
funny.
that.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. Astrology has been something that has I love. I originally was like, I need to figure out how I can understand people. Because I would always, now my boyfriend, he likes guessing people's signs. I think it's the weirdest thing ever. I just like, why don't you just ask them? He's like, I don't know, I just like guessing them. And he's usually right, especially because Pisces, he'll go like look at their eyes. He's like, everybody
Oh,
that's a Pisces have these certain eyes. Like they're, I don't know. And I'm like, okay, well, they're probably Pisces then. And they usually are. And it's just funny how,
that's so
same thing with an Aquarius. He's really good at, but he is a Libra. So he's also an air sign. And the one thing I said to him is like, I have always been like this. If somebody's not intellectually driven, like intimacy to me is like, can you have a conversation with me?
yes,
Like that is very intellectual. If not, it's like when I say like astrology or human design or like something about like woo woo, and they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, oh gosh, I can't talk to you. Like it's like, where are you? But I'm
yeah,
more like I'm really airy, 5D, very imaginative. When people are like, I
yeah.
don't
Me
have an
too.
I
Me too.
and I'm
Yeah,
like, how do you not have an imagination? Like, but it's conditioning. It's like they do
yeah.
when they were kids. They probably had imaginary friends. It was just not accepted. And it's
Right,
not like most people tell me, like, oh yeah, I haven't. I'm like, you can't imagine that. It's like, gosh, I could imagine everything that I have now. It's like everything that I imagined prior. And it's like,
right,
and it's like just keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And I
right.
just love that because
Yep, yep.
it keeps me like very now sometimes I could be a very big imaginer. Like
Yes,
sometimes
me
I'm like,
too.
let me be a little bit more logical here.
Yeah, yeah, me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it reminded me when you talked about, because I know you do the human design. So I'm a
Yeah.
projector on the human
Oh,
design.
okay. So am I. That's
Ah,
interesting.
oh, that's right. I think I did know that when I first joined your Facebook group.
Yes. I think
That's
actually now
right.
that I'm
Yeah.
talking, did I connect with you through the docu-series?
I
No.
don't remember. I don't
No?
I don't
Okay.
remember.
I was gonna say I didn't know if I did a call with you through the docu-series.
Mm-mm.
Melissa's okay, okay. I thought that maybe I did. Okay.
Yep,
Yeah. So
yep.
I'm a emotional projector, 6'2" emotional projector. We'll have to see.
I'd have to look at mine. The emotional projector sounds familiar. The
Yeah.
emotional sounds familiar. I know I'm a projector. I know that.
Yeah. Well,
I'll
that's all
have to
that
look
matters.
at my
Yeah.
chart. Right.
Yes.
But
That's awesome.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's
cool.
interesting. A lot of people that I've had like as guests on the podcast are either 6'2", which be just their profile. So it's like their behaviors and like how they like their lessons here. And
Uh-huh.
then um or manifestors or they're projectors. And usually manifestors are like my best friends. You manifestor are as very closed off, but with a projector, like they're really good business partners because they have those
Love it.
ideas. They're not going to bother you. They don't want to be bothered. They just want to initiate and inform and move on, and the
Yeah.
projector is really good with like, they just like to be in their own energy. So
Yeah.
it's really, and then mixed with a generator. They're the one that builds everything.
Nice, nice.
Generators love me and they want me to do like all this stuff with them. I'm like, I'm sorry, I don't have all this energy for you. I wish I could. I
Yeah,
used to
yeah.
operate that way, but I cannot anymore.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
like you. I've got so many ideas. I mean, if you
Yeah.
could see my wall in front of me, I have all these sticky notes. I probably
Yeah.
have 100 sticky notes with all of these ideas and things I want to do. And it's like I just currently don't have the energy to do them all. So it's okay.
Yeah.
Let's focus on a
Yes.
couple.
Yeah. I
Yeah, that's
actually
cool.
I just brought on a VA that's a generator, manifesting generator.
Oh, nice.
I used to have a generator that was a VA, but it was like I was kind of like I felt like I was micromanaging her. I'm like, I don't understand what's going on. Like, usually you guys have these great ideas, you could do it, but I don't know if she was going through something personal. But
Uh,
she it's amazing the like what I have all these ideas, and she's like, gosh, you have all these ideas, and like they're just amazing. And then like she implements them, she builds it, she like
yeah,
whatever I
that's,
need. And it's
yeah,
different too because a lot of people this is the first time I've really, besides last year, I had a VA, so it's interesting.
yeah,
I'm like, oh, I don't want to do all this anymore. Oh, this is like amazing.
yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Much.
I have a good VA too. The challenge with that is he doesn't, like a lot of solopreneurs or entrepreneurs, he doesn't really know the finances. So when I talk about my
Yeah.
finance ideas, he's like, okay, right? Because he's just
Yeah.
doesn't, he's
Yeah.
great at creating, he's great, like he's created my workbooks and different things like that. But when I talk about money, he just, love him to death, but he's just is not, doesn't connect those dots yet.
Yeah. I am. I did everybody's chart. There's about like 4 or 5 different recommendations I got. And I was like, this is weird. You're going to think this is
That's
very weird, but
awesome.
I need to do your human design chart to see if you'll be able, like, if we're going to be very, so it's funny. One of the girls was like, I'm going to start doing that to my clients, like
Yeah.
my potential VA. I'm like, you should, because I'm telling you, you're going to set yourself up for failure. If
Mm-hmm.
you take on working with somebody, because she's a VA, she's a very successful VA, and she has a couple of businesses. I was like, you're going to set yourself up for failure. So
Yeah.
she actually interviews them too. And I was like, you should be able to. And if somebody that's not willing to do that, I would not want to work with them.
Right.
Like, because that would benefit both of them. And plus you're doing their
Mm-hmm.
human design chart. Like you're
Right.
telling them. So I think looking at a human design chart, like, because I'm sure there has to be somebody out there that is good with finance, probably somebody with the gate of detail in their head center
Ah,
that they
okay.
can, not that you could, not that you're probably like, what the hell are you talking about? But if you just remember gate of detail in their head center, I think it is in their head center, that will be very good with money. Or
Okay.
they
Yeah.
have, it's a money line gate. Literally, it's just called a money line gate. That is
Nice.
that's going to be really good with.
Okay. Yeah. Good to know.
Yeah.
Good to know.
All right.
Yeah, because
So
well, and there's so many corporations too now that do the Enneagram or other, personality or other um, tests and assessments like that. I mean,
yeah,
and for years, right back one of my other businesses years ago, we did the attribute testing for teachers, and it was fascinating how some people were more geared to be a teacher, and some, even though they were a teacher, not so much geared for that. So it's really amazing. I love all those types of assessments.
Yeah.
Really great.
Me and actually a friend are working together of trying to build a program a software pretty much that we could sell to people, like these big corporations that have her business expertise, but also teaching about how to hire, because like that's literally
exactly.
that's if they just do this program and they do what they like, if they build their business, because society should be built the way that human design is. It's not, and it's never going to be, but what you could do in your business is build it the way that human design is, and you would have you will never have to micromanage people.
That's
like
right.
You're not going to have to give people like this or that. They're going to do what they're here, obviously some deconditioning, but they're here. Like generators are not supposed to be managers, and every single manager that I've known is a generator, and I'm like, you guys are not supposed to be there. A projector or manifestor are usually the managers. Society's not built that way. Society's not built that way. And it's
they're just in the I'm sorry. They're just in the wrong, they're just in the wrong job. I mean, I've been a manager for decades, right? And we know that I didn't have the terminology, right, with the human design. But I can tell when someone is in the wrong job, and it's not good or bad. It's just, you're not cut out to be this customer service agent or whatever, right?
Yes.
Absolutely.
So it's interesting that she had just brought this idea to me. She was like, would you oversee it? Would you help me with it? And I was like, sure. She's a manifestor, so she's gonna build it, and there's other people. And I was like, sure, I feel like I can see what's like. And I said, the only thing that I know is that every single person I've ever talked to, every single entrepreneur, even somebody that has a brick and mortar CEO, whatever, they have difficult hiring. That's literally, they're difficult because they don't know how to do it. And it's like, okay. And here I'm like, why don't you just do their human design? Is that weird? You have to ask them their birth date anyway. And then somebody was like, wow, that is so amazing. She's like, do you have like a program? I was like, no, but I'm creating one. So that'll be great. That's literally what had came up with. And I was like, okay, I need help with building this, because I know I can't build it on my own, and I need other people, because she has 27 plus years of experience with business. I don't.
That's awesome.
So just to wrap up here, what advice would you give our listeners who are eager to start their journey towards maybe financial abundance, or maybe change their scarcity mindset, but they feel very overwhelmed or maybe unsure where to start? Obviously, they can come work with you, which will have you.
Great. I actually have two things. I'm glad you asked. So one of the pieces is about money, right? It's about the finance. And what I try to help people recognize is that you, as your business, is, whether it's just you or you've got 100 employees, or you're making $5,000 a year or $500,000 or $5 million, right? It doesn't matter. If you truly understand, just at a foundational level, even of your finances, what your income is, what your expenses are, what your net loss or net profit is, understanding that will help you guide your business to success. Now, I understand all that, but I still have a tax person, right? I don't do my own taxes, but I know when we have our strategy call, I know what she's talking about, right? So I just want to dissuade people from, you still can have somebody else do your books, but it behooves you to understand the foundational of the finances for your success. And then the last thing is my feeling on charging, right? It's kind of like what we had talked about briefly, is when you give someone a gift, whatever the gift is, for their birthday, for Christmas, you buy their lunch, you buy them a cup of coffee, whatever, you feel so good. Typically, you feel so good inside. And when you're asking someone to pay your $3,000 or your $50 or $100 course, you're allowing them to give you their gratitude and their gift in exchange for your gift. So it's really about letting us share our gifts together, and we're both happy about it because you gave your gift of time and energy and
Mhm.
product or service, and they were able to gift you their money in exchange for that. So it's really, the way I look at it, it's a win-win for everybody, and just having that um, feeling and understanding that by you sharing your gift, you allowed them to give you their gift. That's all.
Yeah, I love that. And I feel like that would help a lot of the listeners too, because it's just energy. Just
It
like
is
you
just
giving, like
energy.
you said, you giving coffee, them giving you like paying for your service. That's all it is.
That's
Like
all it is. Yep.
money, there has to be some energetic exchange because here's the thing.
Hmm.
I know I've paid for a lot of things that I've done. There's a lot of things that I've got for free that I didn't put my energy into it because I didn't have to. So it's like
Right.
that is, are you going to be serious and, are you going to waste their time or are you going to give your energy? So I love that.
Right.
Thank you for
Right.
those couple tips.
Thank
So
you
thank you for
very much,
joining us on
Lauren.
today's episode on the Enlightened Misfits podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe. You can leave a review and then share with somebody that you feel that will gain knowledge from listening. So stay tuned for more captivating conversations in the future. I hope you have an amazing rest of your week and I will see you next time.